This video is how to adapt the outriggers on a Knapheide utility body to go from manual cranking to using an impact wrench. So normally, take it, just slowly crank it down. You can put your foot here and try to lower it, but oops, I really haven't had any luck with that working, even though it's a brand new vehicle. Sometimes it'll latch, sometimes it won't. So then we just end up cranking. The outrigger slowly drops. And it's a lot of work just to say, it moves very slow. Alright, so you need to take off the nut, the bolt. I'm going to do that in a moment. And then we're going to take an SK 1-inch socket, part number 34232. We already, in the end of this video, it's going to show how I drilled it. I'm going to put it on there, bolt it through. Alright, so lining up the socket to the hole, you could either use the nut and the bolt again. You can try something called a wire lock clevis pin. You can get these at McMaster Car for $3 or so. So it looks like this. Now just be aware there could be some safety issues with this catching something. As it's spinning, this is going to be outward. So evaluate that for your own safety environment, depending on the kind of equipment you have around this. But if that's not going to be an option, then you can use a regular bolt. All right, now here's the same nut and bolt that I was using on the manual crank. Now, if you may want to shorten this up and put a shorter bolt on there so that the lock nut is flush and there's no bolt sticking out after the lock nut. So now we're going to grab impact. That's all it takes. And then bingo. Now watch the rest of the video and I'll show how I made it all. Thanks for watching. And one other thing. I noticed on this shaft, it looks like it's been hammered and it's kind of mushroomed, and the 1-inch socket will not go on it. So we're going to take an angle grinder with a flat disc sander and we're going to smooth it out. All right, so as you might be able to see, I went all the way around it. Just a little bit. I just smoothed the edge off a little bit. So now, bingo. All right, interesting observation. The hole is straight. My hole is straight. Cut from flat to flat. But when you put it on, something about it doesn't quite line up. I'm gonna have to adjust it. Probably gonna have to run the drill straight through here to widen the hole on one side of the socket for some reason. drill bit that I've been using is a 7/16. When it comes to drilling the socket, I think it would be, this is just an observation that I'm going to improve on. Originally, I put it down here, and I did my a little bit of measurements. But when I drilled through the first side of the socket, it was fine, but then I hit an angle down here, and that caused the bit to jump. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to actually drill on a flat side to a flat side. Alright, so I ended up drilling the hole about 1.25 inches in. So about 1.25 inches. And I have it lined up, so we're going to be drilling through 2 flat surfaces. Alright, so we're going to drill it. We're going to drill it extra slow, not a lot of force. Now when I'm done, I'm going to go ahead and primer these to protect them from being out in the elements. Give them a good little coat. So I'm going to take the oil off of them and use some Rust-Oleum primer. Also use the angle grinder to smooth out the edges on the hole. It's a little sharp, but now it's not. So in preparation to primer them, I'm going to use acetone with a rag. We're going to wipe down all the oil off of these so that the primer will have a good bond to the metal. Okay, I just wiped them down. There's no more the cutting oil on them. Now they're ready for the Rust-Oleum red primer. They also make a gray primer. I think it's the same kind of stuff, so it sells at Home Depot and Lowe's. Alright, so we just sprayed them, and then the next process is once it dries, I'm going to flip them and then spray the underneath part. So after they've had a chance to dry a little bit, dry to the touch, flip them over. Just give a little bit of spray and let them dry this way.